Honestly, it's like that time period of Magic in my brain feels different than uh I don't know, it's like I was still new to the game, so like my idea of the game and my memories of it are different now that I actually understand it, if that makes sense. I was kind of looking at it through a very different lens. So usually Tronland Go is Eldrazi Tron and not Mono Green Tron, and that is also what we're hoping is the case because Eldrazi Tron is actually a solid matchup. Like Ice-Fang and Uro are real good against them, but Green Tron is maybe your worst matchup. Maybe Reclaimer Titan is. All right, so I don't think we have to force this because we have 4 Skyclave Apparition in our deck, but I think you do want to respond with Ice-Fang because if I drew Ephemerate, maybe I'd be more interested in forcing. Okay, so I'll just play an Uro. Do want to hit a land. Not the end of the world if we miss. We did miss. We'll see if our opponent has Natty Tron on 7 cards. Oh, sorry, 6 cards. They do not, but they do have Eldrazi Temple. Dude, can you believe... What am I supposed to do here? I'm so upset. I can't believe my opponent has turn 3 Reshaper. I'll still play, but like... Cool deck, I guess. Unreal. Turn 3 Reshaper. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it that they had it. I don't know. I guess some players don't like to play real Magic. I think this is quickly becoming one of the better jokes. Which isn't, it's not like it's competing with much. But I think it's pretty good. I think we just hold up Cryptic this turn. There are arguments, I think, for just witnessing back a land, but the problem is we can't cast these paths yet. And Cryptic should be pretty good here. I'm not going to counter Matter Reshaper, jokes aside. Okay. So I'm going to bounce their Chalice and draw a card. Thought about maybe bouncing the Ice-Fang. But then we just kind of lose to Dismember. Sorry. My fingers are kind of shaky. I'm not sure what's going on.
Your hands are shaky?
Yeah.
You know what that means?
I've been taking potassium. I have a potassium deficiency, and I've been actually taking it recently. I think I'm just gonna play the Wall. I think Wall is a better answer than Path to this Ice-Fang, especially to the Reshaper. We do open ourselves up to maybe getting Karned here, but we do have Skyclaves, so I'm not too worried if they don't play Urza's Tower, and they don't play Urza's Tower. They do replay their Chalice of the Void, which we have 2 answers for in our hands, so even if they have a Thought-Knot Seer, we don't have to be too worried. They don't have Seer, they do have Smasher. They send both at the Fun Raveler, which we can save if we block like this. But I don't think Teferi is like so good that we should block like that, especially because the Wall just checks the Reshaper forever and we never have to give them a card, which I think is valuable. And here we could just play Uro, and then Uro will ignore the Smasher. It's pretty good. How much for a whole stream of Grixis control variants? I don't think I currently want to offer someone to like rent the whole stream, but I mean, like, there is the Dono decks for just like 1 league of the deck of your choice, but I don't think I currently want to price out how much a whole stream rented would cost. Because I think part of the fun of like the dono decks is people get to see like a variety on that day, you know. Excuse me? Snow-covered swamp? I've seen people play a mountain for boil. What does a swamp mean? I'm sure someone in chat knows already. I'm just trying to figure it out before I look at chat. The problem is there are no good black cards. So like, what could you possibly be playing it for? Because there's not like a single good black card in Magic the Gathering. You'd think they would have printed one by now, but you'd be wrong. Okay, I'm looking at chat. Mind Twist Dismember? Really? I think that sounds right to me, but it also doesn't sound very good. I think I'm just gonna send everything at Karn. So this way, if they double block Uro, they still lose the Karn. I just kind of don't want them to double block. Wishclaw Talisman to go with their Karn. Okay, that's kind of cool. My opponent now has Tron. However, they only have one card and we have a counterspell. Inverter, maybe? Inverter's kind of cool. I know there's no way you can't splash Thoughtseize off of one swamp, I think. There's like no way. It's interesting. My eyebrows have been raised, as they say. Like, I've seen people play a Mountain and Simian Spirit Guide to play Boil, but there's nothing, I don't know. This is not, like, does black have a Boil-like card? I don't think that they do.
Is Boil red?
Boil is red, yes. For those of you in the chat wondering, also.
They have bacon to a pie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Bacon to the Pie is black, so
Wait,
can't be
what?
that one. Bacon to a Pie costs 2 black mana, but they just have 1 swamp in their deck. And we're trying to figure out why they just have 1 random swamp.
Oh, what does Boil do?
Boil destroys all islands.
So they're saying, is there a black card that does the same thing as Boil?
I'm asking that, or something similar to Boil, and I don't think that there is.
What did Bacon to a Pie do again?
Bacon to the Pie destroys a creature and creates a food token.
Okay. But Boil destroys all lands.
All islands.
All islands?
Yeah.
Okay. All lands would be totally broken, right?
That card does exist. It's white. So when something that destroys all lands would also destroy your own lands.
What?
Yeah.
So how do you play? You have to play cards that don't use lands?
So the idea behind that card is you get ahead on board. You just have a bigger board than your opponent, and then you destroy all lands, and then your opponent can't catch up, and you win.
I see.
Extinction Event is like, I think, the best guess we have so far. Let me pull up my sideboard guide real quick. If you guys are interested in the sideboard guide, if you are subscribed to the channel, you can gain access to it by typing !Discord in chat, joining the Discord server, and then linking your Twitch and Discord accounts. And I will also be posting my PT Decklist sideboard guides that I already have typed out, but I'll be posting that after the tournament. So in this matchup, I cut both Paths and I bring in 3 Onthanize because I think Onthanize is a better removal spell. It's better against Reshaper, Smasher, Walking Ballista, but worse against Thought-Knot Seer. And it also does get Blast Zoned, but I think that that's just kind of fine for the most part. And I've been cutting the Wall of Omens, even though it is an answer to their best card in the matchup, Matter Reshaper. I think we need to cut it. And I've been cutting, I've been bringing in 2 Tails in as well. I kind of waffle on Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and I think I'm gonna leave it at home this time. And Channel Connor 2 months in a row. Love to see that 2nd month. Appreciate you, bud. Hope that you find the sideboard guide to be good. Sometimes it takes like an hour or 2 for your Discord and Twitch account to be synced up, but we solved the issue where it was taking just forever. Legacy Council, thank you for the host. Appreciate you, bud. Hope you're having a good day today. I need to play some Legacy soon. I do want to try out like some of the Commander Legend cards in Legacy. I'm just gonna play a Prairie stream. Yeah, we're super soft to Matter Reshaper. Thankfully, we have an answer to it.
I can't believe it just.
Whoa! My gosh! Field of the Detonatron. I cannot believe it.
Is it a lightning helix?
Basically, it doesn't seem very good. It's interesting though. I like the idea. I like the idea of it.
I can't believe I just learned yesterday that Commander was multiplayer.
I hope that you have a good day too, Legacy Council. One has named Eldrazi with their cavern. So I guess there's not so much much of a point to leave up the Remand here, although it could counter a Karn. I think it's going to be better to play an Uro and protect it by putting it in the graveyard. Would I do an Antland if you pay? Yeah, I'll do an Ant League for Don't Know Deck Thursday. I've done that. I think I've done that like 2 times before. For those of you who don't know, I played Ants at PT 25 anniversary. The only time you could ever play a Legacy at a Pro Tour. I was lucky enough to be qualified for that one, and I did pretty well with it. We top 32. We lost our win and end to top 8 of that event. I lost to Merfolk, and I could have beaten. They were hellbent when they started their turn. I could have beaten Daze. I could have beaten Force of Will. I could have even beaten Chalice. I think maybe I couldn't have beaten Chalice, but they didn't draw Chalice. But they did draw their one of Vendilion Click, which was the only card in their list that I lost to.
Was that the tournament that you made that, is it Phoenix deck?
No.
Was another one?
Mm-hmm.
Was that one just a qualifier tournament?
The one I was talking about was the PT.
Yeah, I remember that one in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
The team.
So I guess are you talking about which one was the Phoenix one?
Yeah.
Oh, that was an SCG Open.
Okay. It was here, right? In DFW?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is Ant still viable with Test in the format? Every time I play Ant, I do well with it, like well enough to play. And then the Test fanboys always ask me why I play Ant over Test, and I say, I just want to play my favorite deck, please. Leave me alone. I think I'm just gonna bounce their field. Oh, they haven't played a land yet. Guess they bounce this Thought-Knot here. Yeah, Ant is just my favorite deck in Magic. Ant stands for Ad Nauseam Tendrils, and it's one of the 2 Legacy Storm variants. And the other one is Test, the Epic Storm, and Brian Cook is a genius, and Brian Cook does very well with Test every single time. And I'm very happy for him. But Ant is just my favorite deck in Magic, and I really love playing it. And so usually when I play Legacy, I play Ant because it's just always a huge delight to be able to play it. Yeah. Also, yeah, that is true. Legacy Council that Doomsday has like risen to prominence because of Thassa's Oracle, and is also kind of like where a lot of Ant players have moved to. But I just don't get to play Legacy very often because I'm so focused on Modern. You know, Modern's my bread and butter now, and I just love Ant to death. And I had like a good run with it at the showcase the other month. I think the deck is like still playable, but not like a great choice. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. Legacy Council. That is just Legacy. Even like if your deck isn't well positioned anymore, you can just play it and do well with it. So my opponent has either Dismember or Walking Ballista, and I'm gonna play around that by playing Ice-Fang here. Can someone explain why we bounced Thought-Knots? So I bounced the Thought-Knots here so I could guarantee putting a 5th card in the graveyard to escape with Uro. But also, like, we needed to affect the board, I think, in some way there. Otherwise, we get a bit too far behind. And we couldn't counter the Thought-Knot Seer because of Cavern of Souls. So it was a few different reasons there. Pretty good value for us there. We also get to not take 4 damage from the Seer. We can Tails in the map trigger. Let me just attack with Uro first. I think we're in garbage time though. Yeah, so yeah, that's true. Cavern is a black source if they're playing like Inverter, because we saw they had Swamp last game, and I can't imagine. So they're playing Field of the Dead, and they're probably just playing Swamp as like a land for Field of the Dead. And they're playing, and it's also like a land that taps for Dismember would be my guess with the Swamp, but it's a bit weird. Yeah, I don't think Field is very good for them. Although I will say, like, Etron can pretty easily afford to play one grindy land, and there are a few different options. There's like Seagate something, and there's the one that says you can draw a card if you have a creature power 4 or greater. Seagate Wreckage, yeah. And so like they're just like in that slot playing a Field of the Dead instead, I think, which is maybe not something I think is good, but it doesn't seem like crazy. Yeah, Bonder's Enclave. It's a pretty good card. I really wish I could play it in my Gruul deck, but there's just no way you can play a colorless land. I don't think we want a Tales in the Thought-Knot Seer trigger, because I'm pretty interested. They're missing land drops, so I'm really interested in Tales-ending the map. It is possible we're just supposed to cycle these remands, though. But also we're in garbage time. Could have countered the Thought-Knot trigger. Yeah, I know we could have, but I want to save this for the map. And if they take Tails End, I like that's the same as countering the trigger. I guess it goes to the graveyard. But I know I didn't articulate this, but they're missing land drops, so I want to save it for the map. Mulligan this. Maybe I won't, actually. Opponent's playing a Lurrus deck. It's often hard to mulligan against the Thoughtseize Lurrus deck, but also not doing anything until turn 3 on the draw is a bit sus. Well, we have Tails in for Greentron, and we have Aether Gust for Titan decks. My opponent mulled to 6. Does my opponent mulling to 6 change my decision here? Actually, I kind of feel like this hand is fine on the draw against Red-Black Scourge, which is probably what this is. Maybe not good, but like good enough to keep, and it is just hard to mulligan very aggressively against the Thoughtseize Inquisition deck.
Is it okay if I turn the AC on?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. No, never mind. No, never mind. I take it back.
You said whatever I want.
I take it back.
I choose to ruin the stream.
Well, you already did that today. No.
I would get you bad.
Hold on.
Suspended.
What? Okay, so my opponent played Castle Ardenvale and Lurrus and 2 baubles. This was expected. This was not.
I was singing copyrighted songs.
It's Hammer Time. Good read. Yeah.
That's an actual card, Hammer Time?
It's the name of a deck.
Oh.
Well, I will Force of Negation. So, will I force a hammer? I guess we would do force a hammer. Yeah, I think this is like a good build of it. I think this can just resolve. I think this is a good build of Hammer Time. I think that people they needed to get on Pure Steel Paladin quicker than these decks did. They were playing the other one for too long, the Magmatic whatever. So opponent's last card is Colossus Hammer. They also have a Lurrus, but I'm just going to Skyclave their Paladin. Yeah, Magmatic Theft. And then they were playing that really bad 2/2 that when it ETBs equips. But you can just play good cards in this deck, I think. I will say that I'm not sure that Lurrus as a companion is better than not getting to play Batterskull or Maul of the Skyclaves. Lurrus is pretty good in these decks, but so would Batterskull or Maul, I think. I don't think the swords matter very much. Swords are better when you're playing like a slow, grindy deck and you have like a lot of pieces of interaction and you can like accrue value with your swords, but our opponent's deck doesn't really meet that condition. I probably just want a Cryptic Luris. Or like Ice-Fang block the Nexus. So if they activate Nexus, we're supposed to Ephemerate, Skyclave, Exile Giver of Runes? Maybe not. Does my opponent have a path? Opponent's hand is Luris, Hammer, 2 mystery cards. One of them they were considering casting, it seems. I don't know why you'd ever cast Hammer there.
Is now a good time to show the stream?
Athena's stalking? Yeah, you can show him Athena's stalking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Typhoon!
The fin went right into my eye.
Sorry. It's a shark stocking!
So we Skyclave the Giver, they activate it again.
Just close your eyes, bro. Are you okay?
It went like right into my eye. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
Drops?
Okay.
Do
we have eye drops?
I can like Kill Bill you if that'll help.
First you're a chess master, now you're Kill Billing me. I'm just gonna make them make the first move. We have a napkin here. It's my sleeve. Esther brings chaos everywhere she goes.
You said I could show them.
Yeah.
Back.
This isn't my fault.
It's your fault.
It's fine. I don't need both of my eyes. Get a sick eye patch.
Can you wear it as the hat? I think it's too big for you. Too small for you. I'm trying to show them that it's my hat.
I don't think I was being harsh. I just said, ma'am, you got some fin in my eye. Can you please get some eye drops? Neo didn't need his eyes to defeat the Matrix, that's true. She's like this off stream too, just absolute chaos everywhere. We just let the wall resolve and we can Ice-Fang block, you know, whatever. Opponent's hand is now Luris mystery card. What can this even get that's relevant here? I don't really feel like anything. Because they don't have any they don't have a battle scroll, they don't have a sword. Let's find out, I guess. Maybe cranial plating, but they don't have a they don't have a way to hammer us here. We can also just force any equipment they cast. They get a shadow spear. Alright, so let's Mystic Sanctuary back Ephemerate. I think we just pass back for this turn. Don't think I'm too worried about just taking 2 more points of damage. I'm not sure who if playing Draw Go favors our opponent or favors us though. Yeah, I'm just gonna fire off this Cryptic. And then now if they play Luris, we can Ephemerate the Luris, and yes, they get to draw a card. Oh, now I get to Remand Luris, which I do think is a bit better. Do they have the way to give trample or some other way to get the hammer connect? So like one of the main ideas is they attack with Nexus, and then after blocks they'll like Sigard as aid the hammer onto the Nexus. And then Shadow Spear is a equipment that they just tutored up. It's one of the 2 cards in their hand, the other one being Luris, and that can give trample. When Mox Opal gets unbanned, yes, win. Yes, win. Do you think Hammer Time will still be a deck, or will get outclassed by better Opal decks? I think that maybe Hammer Time has what it takes to compete. I think Hammer Time is pretty good. So our opponent's hand is just Luris, Shadow Spear. I don't think we need to Skyclave any of these permanents. I think I'd rather just try to get like the ball rolling a bit more. I guess I'm gonna get a breeding pool. Was this emote foreshadowing the shark hat trauma of December 2020? I think it was. I think that it was. So we can Uro escape, we can witness back Ephemerates, but then we can't really effectively interact with the Ephemerate in any real way here. I'd kind of like to have Remand up this turn. Uro and escaping Uro does put us... Oh no, we can hold up Remand if we hit a land off of either Uro draws. Seems okay. We also have force ups, and we can force the Shadow Spear if they don't put it into play end of turn here. Well, I guess that's not actually very good because they're just going to put it into play end of turn. But I kind of don't think that the Shadow Spear matters that much. Don't we just want to Apparition the Hammer? I don't think we want to Apparition the Hammer right now. But I think that it probably is good to have that option up instead of playing the Uro here. Seems kind of close. Hammer Time was the most common deck in the challenges. Maybe that's why Mono Red won both challenges. I mean, maybe it's because I wasn't playing a challenge this weekend. Yeah, but I think I'd be more likely to exile the Shadow Spear and just Ice-Fang block the Ornithopter. Yeah, I'm not sure how big a deal going to 3 is right now, because if we Uro, we just tap their team every turn for the rest of the game. If we Uro and escape this turn, but I think we're just gonna win almost no matter what here. I'll Remand Luris if they play it. I also need to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Opponent thinks I'm just in the tank looking up their deck list right here. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Interesting draw. So we can Skyclave, Ephemerate Witness, and Cryptic Command. But I think that I would rather just get Teferi in play instead. That way there's just no way they can break this up. Could bounce the hammer. Ravel any fun that they might have. Is hammer worse in play than in their hand? They have, I think, 1 or 2 ways to equip it in play, and 1 way in their hand, which is Sigard as aid. So it's like a bit better in play, I think, but not. It's marginal. Yeah, I don't think we need to tap their team this turn around. I'm just gonna get their Shadow Spear, block their Ornithopter, and be very, very ahead. I guess we can't answer the Luris now. It's probably fine. Yeah, I think that, maybe if we mess things up, we could still lose, but it does feel like our game to lose, I'm not gonna I might force a bobble if they only had one in their graveyard, but they had three, so I'm not gonna bother. Maybe I over prioritize this Teferi, but I also think that if we have Teferi in play, it just doesn't feel like there's a way we can lose. Yeah, Hammer Time is popular at the moment. Popular and good, I'd say. So I do want to Skyclave Luris, I think. I think I'm going to pass one more turn before I escape Uro too. Just leave up all this interaction. Could I equip Hammer, then equip something that gives flying and half flying? That's an interesting question. I believe that as long as the hammer is equipped, it can't have flying, even if you give it flying after, but I might be wrong about that. It's kind of interesting. Maybe that's why they don't play Maul of the Skyclaves, because it's if that's how it works with Maul, if like it can just never get flying from the Maul, if it has a hammer equipped, then Maul is probably not good enough. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying. If Maul coming down next gives it flying, I actually think these decks should be not playing Lurish and should be playing Maul. What do I know? Let's get an Ice-Fang in play because of these Nexuses. Nexi. How did WotC change prelims? I haven't played a prelim in a long time because I've been doing well in the challenges. And prelims are also, I don't think, are a good structure for the stream usually. 4-round prelims and different structure. Interesting. I believe one day we'll have a full year without a single change to tournament settings. One day. It's a dream of mine. We'll have a good tournament system that works and everybody likes it. I just remember people being so critical of the old pro system, and now looking back, I miss it so much. I just miss it so much. You know, the platinum, gold, bronze, silver. Have I heard of the Lotus Box 8-mans? No, I haven't. Yeah, I'm not sure why our opponent's still playing. Like, maybe they don't know about 104.3a. They might scoop to this path. It does kind of feel like to me that there is an executive at Wizards that is making a lot of these decisions. It's like, I guess, like my headcanon or something. But it just does kind of feel like there's probably some vice president that is out of touch with the game or doesn't have a background in the game at all and is making these decisions. Some faceless villain. What was that episode of 30 Rock where Alec Baldwin tells Tina Fey to make up someone for her crew to blame all their problems on? Maybe that's what I'm doing right now. Where can you read my fanfic of WotC's management? If you subscribe to my Patreon, that's the only perk. Maybe our opponent's playing to the clock. This is still game 1. I'm not very worried about timing out. Maybe I should be. I'm just having a good time drawing all these cards. They'll be done next turn to a Cryptic tap. And they're not like particularly close to like doing anything. Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Type. Brady Connor, 3 months in a row. We appreciate you coming back. Had so many like subs and gifted subs today. I feel like today was just like has been such a standard stream. I guess maybe minus Esther's shenanigans, but it is cool to just have like just be popping off on what feels like such a normal stream day. Yeah, the job definitely comes with risks. With Esther poking me in the eye with shark fins. It's not an easy job, but someone has to do it. You gotta file for workers' comp. Might have to do with it being the first of the month. Maybe. I don't feel like I've seen a correlation with, you know, it being payday or not. That could be it. I think we have to keep this. This hand's real weird against Hammer Time. But I do think Force is okay. Like a lot of times you'll like can force the Cigar to Zeta and then their hand just does nothing. Nice nice budget tempered steel deck. You used to see like I'm laughing because this used to like in 2015, this is like a regular board state you'd see is like Plains, Inkmoth, Midnight, Cranial Plating, and people would be playing tempered steel, which is now just like a deck in Historic. I guess no Cranial Plating, but it's kind of funny. Just kind of funny. I'm probably going to bounce the Cranial Plating here. It is cool to see Cranial Plating seeing play again. This does mean we die to some things. Back in 2011. Yeah, maybe. Oh, well, not 2011. I started playing Magic in 2012. So that's even would predate me. What killed the Infect deck that used to be everywhere? Well, I don't think Infect is dead. I think, in fact, I think it's like an okay meta call at times, which is certainly not. I guess it's not a glowing review. I kind of think Infect is okay. But it's just like a combination of like a lot of really efficient answers being printed. I don't think you can really point to any one card and say this is what killed Infect. I think we need to hit the Paladin here. It's like Plague Engineer, Ren and 6, Lava Dart, it's Fairy Time Raveler. All these like Fatal Push. All of these really hurt Infect. It did get Veil of Summer. Infect is a really good Veil of Summer deck. I don't think Force is that big a deal for Infect, but it's definitely a relevant card. It's part of the problems. And Infect also lost Gitaxian Probe, and like the really good Infect players could certainly leverage Gitaxian Probe in a like super powerful way. I think I'm gonna leave the Strand uncracked for now. Like, I kind of want to get a basic planes to have this in there untapped, but I also, yeah, like we could just draw basic planes, and now we can fetch Temple Garden or Breeding Pool and have double green, and this will also allow us to play Venser and Path this turn. Have I seen Black Green Infect doing well? I've seen it pop up from time to time. I think that Like, that's definitely an option. Black-green Infect. Phyrexian Crusader is great against these red and white decks, of course. This is fine. Skyclave blocking, or Wall of Omens blocking the Skyclave tokens is just so relevant. Every matchup, really. Yeah, Infect is definitely the kind of deck that you can always do well with if you are a master of it. And I tend to love decks like that. Guess we need to path this giver. Oh yeah, the attach effect. I always forget about that. I don't think I'm gonna die here. Maybe I will. What other decks do I think are master of decks? Titan Variants and Storm are the two that immediately come to mind. Death Shadow is also one of them. Ant and Legacy. Ant and Legacy is probably the deck that requires the most brain power and the most handsomeness to play. Why isn't Ornithopter attacking? Veil Ruined Ant? I don't know. Like, I play Ants in the main deck, or Veil in the main deck of Ants, and I kind of just love it there. I haven't found Veil to be like that hard to play around, and I've played a lot. Guess I want the ability to Mystic Sanctuary. How you doing, Spider? How good is Venser? Venser's been real good. Like, Venser is like great in your worst matchups, which are big mana matchups. I don't think you want to main deck two, but I've really liked one main, one side. I think Venser is real important. Like, it just gives you outs in matchups where it feels like you would not have outs otherwise. We're dead if they have a land, and that is a risk I'm willing to take. I don't think we can let... Like, they get to equip the hammer if we don't path this paladin. They get to draw a card. I don't think that we have the luxury of not pathing right now. How likely is it we die to Infect? Well, we get to Mystic Sanctuary back path here. And so we can answer this Nexus. Their hand is a spell. The Ornithopter is getting in this turn. The thing is, like, the card underneath this Path to Exile has got to be pretty good. I only had one island. We had Mystic Gate, so I was just thinking we had all the blue mana. Sorry, guys. That's on me. I'm doing well, Spider. I hope we get to trade off this Venser. They go block. Kind of interesting that they value their Min-Might more than their Illusion. I guess they need the artifact for plating. I'm not sure that Venser is real good as much as it just like is a 4-mana fog. I guess it's not even a fog, it's just like just an unsummon. We're supposed to bounce the Cranial Plating. They haven't played a land yet. Bounce the plating, they've spent 2. Yeah, they can still activate it next turn. I'll just bounce the Nexus. Attack. Oh, they moved the plating over. You are handsome and smart, Spider, for playing D&T, and that one's just free, because it's true. When it gets a Shadow Spear. Game 3. We're only a little ahead on time. Clock is a concern. Gotta play quick. The little Donnie gift converting a Prime Gaming sub into a tier 1 sub. Thanks, buddy. We have 2 of our best cards in the matchup. This hand is definitely one that can flood out, but it's really hard to mulligan. You know, Skyclave plus path in the lands to cast them. We have the very powerful, the desperately needs to be banned Mystic Sanctuary in our hand. Yeah, I don't know if we can fix the Unfran command. I don't know if it ever worked to begin with. I don't think it did. Oh, my opponent mold to 5. Okay. Makes me feel a bit better about our keep. Maybe I was supposed to just start fetching and thinning on turn 1. I think that is a little true. I'm not going to Skyclave one of these 0 drops. They also do have a bauble to go with Luris, which is good. They get a hammer. They shouldn't be able to kill us next turn. I don't want to Skyclave the Stoneforge. I'm just going to play Wall. It's kind of a good draw. Do I think Bant Snowblade will ever come back as strong as the pre-banning of Astrolabe? Dude, Astrolabe was such a mistake. So I don't believe in that part of your question. However, I do think that Bant Stoneblade is just a fine deck right now. I lost to it in the finals of a challenge a few weeks ago. I think it just is a viable deck that's probably a little underplayed at the moment. But boy, Arkham's Astrolabe was a huge mistake. So looks like they're debating on smacking us for 10 or waiting until try to kill us with Inkmoth Nexus next turn. Their hand is Colossus Hammer, Mystery card. And they've already played their land, so they can't smack us with the Nexus this turn. I do like Nobles and Bant Stoneblade, Brian. They're playing a spell, so they're just going to hit us with the Nexus. How do we feel about pathing this? Don't think I want to. Just going to get my Bant Triumph. Oh no, I got Breeding Pool instead. Oops. And I'm going to Skyclave their aid. Why you play 3 birds, 2 nobles? I feel like the Exalted is super relevant in Stoneblade. More relevant than flying. Oh, flying is not irrelevant. I agree. There's a leak of a 5-mana Snow Oko. I mean, just because the card has the word Oko on it doesn't mean it's, like, gonna be too good. Just like, you know, people thought Jace the Living Guild Pact was a reasonable Magic card because it had the word Jace on it. And as we all know, Jace the Living Guild Pact is the worst card ever printed. Might Cryptic whatever equipment they get here. I might go Cryptic Counterbalance Skyclave. Swiftfoot Boots. Jeez, so good. Swiftfoot Boots is just terrifying. I think I'm still taking 3 here. And they're going to Stoneforge and Swiftfoot Boots. Jeez. Yeah. Want the Nice is an interesting draw. I think we just Skyclave the plating though, and then it's gonna be kind of difficult for them to actually do much damage for the time being. And then it's pretty slow, but we can bounce the Skyclave again and then get the boots. In fact, they're getting in for 0 right now. We're only at 1 infect. Their draw for the turn was Plains. Their 1 card in hand is Colossus Hammer. They also have access to Luris. OG Tibble feels insulted that you think Guild Pack is worse. I do think Guild Pack is worse than 2-mana Tibble. So Hammer Mystery card, access to Luris. They go in and put the Luris into their hand, which will not play very well into our Cryptic. For budget region, do I think a blue-white build with Queller instead of Uro could be viable and competitive? I think you could probably like do some winning with it at your local level, yeah. And I think that there's probably something there, but I don't think it would be... When you say competitive can mean a lot of different things. Like competitive can mean, can I win more than half of my matches? Can I win enough to like just play this on Magic Online and have a good time? And competitive can also mean, is this like a deck I should be considering bringing to a tournament? And I think the answer is probably no to bringing this deck, a blue-white version of this deck, to a tournament. But I do think that it would be totally fine to play at like a local level, or just like, you know, grind on Magic Online. But I also think that instead of grinding like your pet deck on Magic Online for budget reasons, it's usually better to just get a rental service if you have the time. I need to just like have a command to shout out Emma every time budget questions come up, because I've been getting more and more of them. I don't know how to say her last name, but Emma Pat starts with a P. But she's a writer for TCG Player, and I think she puts out really good content on budget MTG options. And she's someone I usually point people towards when they ask me about budget ideas, because like that is actually just like the content she creates. Yes, thank you. Yeah, let me go ahead and Adcom Emma. Yeah, but I think Emma's great. I think she's really good. So I mean, a while since I've made a com. What did I do? What did I do wrong? If some mod wants to, oh no, I don't have enough time to be doing this. Oh no, I'm gonna time out. Yeah, if a mod wants to make something. We're still ahead on time. I'm not sure what my opponent said I'm so bad in reference to. I think I'm just going to bounce a 2/2 token and then just not be like so behind on board. Now that I have the Cryptic Command in my hand, I'm a bit more comfortable doing something like that. What about the Illusion now? We're still up a minute on clock. However, like, we definitely have to make more clicks than they do. So they probably have another hammer in their hand. Maybe I'm supposed to counter this because they can just Stoneforge whatever they get here. Let's get another hammer, though. Hammer doesn't do anything. Does not do anything. No, a spike. It does nothing. Thank you, Turtle. I want to counter a Pure Steel Paladin, I think. Maybe we just Path a Paladin. Why aren't they attacking with their Nexuses? They realize they should be. Just trying to play real quick, trying to stay ahead on time. Yeah, this Eternal Witness is basically game over. Or it would be if like clock wasn't a consideration here, but it definitely is a concern. I think I'm gonna start attacking with my 2/2s. We have attacks now. Yeah, this is fine. This is game 3. I think we're fine. Just gotta actually focus now. First time in my life. Feels weird. They also could have equipped a hammer and just didn't. Yikes. Dude, Castle Ardenvale makes things so annoying here. Okay, so that's... We have infinite turns. So if our opponent's going to be sporting, they'll just concede. Once we show them that we are taking infinite turns. Unsure if that's going to be their attitude towards Magic Online or not. Though I think we should still be able to win. I think I can kill my opponent with the time I have. And infinite turns. Be kind of close. Oh, whoops, meant to play a witness. Infinite turns just means I mill out first. I mean, I'm just gonna kill them by attacking. Okay, so now I don't need to do anything else this turn. Okay, they conceded. How's the PT testing going? Well, it's going well. Like, honestly, I will continue to be testing for the PT, but I feel like I could play tomorrow about as well as if I got an extra 20, 30 hours of testing in. Because my deck lists are already submitted, so it's not like much is going to change from now till then. But I feel really good about my my lists, and I'm excited, and I hope to get a bit lucky. I think I'm gonna get a tapped Hallowed Fountain. Who has the most trophies? M. Hayashi with this deck we're playing against right now, which is a deck of... Oh no, I did not mean to get a breeding pool there. I meant to get a Hallowed Fountain, but I got bailed out. M. Hayashi with this Obosh Prowess deck, which he's been really happy with. Follow him on Twitter. Good player, good deck builder. In my historic list, why no Krasis? So I think that if you're playing Pact of Negation, you want recursive sources of card advantage. I also predict there to be a lot of Narsets in the tournament. I think there's going to be a lot of Narsets, and Krasis is awkward against Narset. But I think for Pact of Negation, you want to be playing Teferi and Nissa instead, and just like be able to play these like really powerful recursive sources of card advantage. My opponent is a Blood Moon deck, so I'm not going to play into Blood Moon here. King CR, thank you for your 3 months in a row. Hope you're having a good day today. Enjoy your new subscriber badge. Yeah, it is definitely easier to just like trophy a bunch if you're running red aggro. I agree. I think we're not supposed to block because they have this lightning bolts. But it's not like abundantly clear to me that that's the case. If my opponent casts the bolt, I will remand it, because I want to cast the remand this turn to try to be able to get the highest chance of going Uro into remand next turn. And if they cast the lightning bolt, it's of course clear that they cannot cast a Blood Moon this turn, which is what we'd be holding up the remand for anyways. How is Pact of Negation like a 4 in the main decks? Yeah, it's so... Historic is a very different format than Modern. But Pact of Negation is just good when you slam a 5-mana Planeswalker and pact whatever they do. In a format like Historic, when you slam your 5-drop and you pact their 5-drop, the game just ends so often. And also, like, Muxus kind of requires you to play counter spells like Pact of Negation, where Muxus is like this crazy 6-drop and that is also playing to the board. Just being able to like Wrath and hold up Pact is really good too. And Pact of Negation is a really good combo with Gideon of the Trials, where you can't lose the game to your Pact. And Pact of Negation is real nice with Tails End sometimes, where you can Tails End your Pact trigger. But you usually only do that when you need mana, rather than like Force of Negation something on turn 2, I've found. You're waiting for silence the whole game in game 3 while sandbagging Paladin in your hand to play around a few paths. Yeah, I gotcha. It was a marathon of a match. GG's. So we get to escape Uro, which again is just like a pet card of mine that I'm trying out, but I think is pretty good in spots like this. Like it gains life, so it's good against the red decks, and it draws cards, so it's good against Magic the Gathering, and again, just still kind of testing it. Keep a Remand in my yard for Witness. Should Pact be played more in Modern? I actually like tried to build a Modern version of my Historic deck yesterday, and it just didn't, like, the thing is, like, we have Force of Negation in Modern, which is usually going to be better than Pact. It does a very similar thing, but in Historic, Pact of Negation really shines. And I'll also say that, like, there aren't very many good counterspells in Historic. It's like Pact of Negation and Tails End, I think, are good. But I also don't think anybody knows that Tails End is good, and they won't until I win the PT with it. Pull my... No. Yeah, yes, I will pull up my sideboard guide. Can't remember exactly my plan for this matchup. So if you are interested in this sideboard guide and one for Just Guide, Miracles, and then those are up to date, but I have some out of date ones too, which maybe shouldn't be a selling point. But if you subscribe and you link your Twitch account with Discord, you can get the sideboard guide. And to join the Discord, you !Discord, which is open to everyone, but the sideboard guides are a special thank you to subscribers. So this has me going -1 Teferi, -3 Remand, -2 Cryptic, -1 Venser, -1 Time Warp, +4 Gust, +3 Anthonice, +1 Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. I kind of think I want to cut all the Cryptics and play 3 Teferis. This is kind of what my gut is telling me right now, so I'm going to change that in the guide. I think that you should just be cutting all your Cryptics against Blood Moon decks in general. Let me keep this. Yeah, Tails Ending your own Uro trigger has been phenomenal in Historic. It's been really, really good for me. Been liking that a lot. Any room for Saddleback Lagak? I just hate Saddleback so much. It's just too good. I don't know. I'm just... The support deck is really good, but it just plays itself, you know? Just kind of want to play something else. Like a homebrew card. Or a pet deck card like Uro. Are the PT... Yeah, the PT... The deck lists are open deck lists, so I've actually already posted my list to Twitter. If you guys want to look at what I'm playing. So if I wait for you to win the PT before I'm buying more copies of Tails End... I mean, the problem with buying Tails End is, like, the card's real good in Historic, and it's a good Modern sideboard card. But it's like... Historic is not a paper format. How common does a deck have to be for me to have a sideboard plan written in advance? Do I include niche decks like Electro Balance? I don't have every deck in Modern. It's basically impossible to do every deck in Modern on, you know, your sideboard guide. But I have a lot of decks. I know that's not a good answer to your question, but I just try to have, like, the most common decks in a metagame. Decks that I think you should anticipate for a tournament. I think I just want to Uro and Anthonice this turn. With Double Relic, we're not going to escape Uro, so I'll just, like... This is, like, a fine turn to cast it. We have only drawn basic lands this game, which is kind of funny. Reminds me of when a certain Certain card was legal. They discard Firebolt, Mountain Bomat to draw 3 different cards. Now we can bounce our own Onthonice with Teferi Time Raveler. So this definitely has an upside now. They have a Swift Spear and a Spyro. It's pretty good. This deck is so grindy. We have no Cryptic Commands in our deck, so we don't need to worry about getting triple blue. We could get our second copy of Basic Plains if we fear a Blood Moon, but I don't really feel like we need to fear a Blood Moon. So I'm just going to get a Temple Garden. Because I have both Skyclave and Witness in my hand. Some good value there. Ooh. And so this game is actually a perfect showcase for what I've been talking about with Teferi, where Teferi is better in sideboard games than in game ones because sideboard games are slower. Look, my opponent has all these relics. They've got, more reactive cards than they have game one. And then Teferi is like pretty good against people bringing in reactive cards like Relic, usually. We've talked about Coiling Oracle a bit, but Wall I think is very, very important because Wall of Omens blocks the Skyclave Apparition tokens very efficiently, and Oracle just doesn't. And like there just are a million Monastery Swift Spear decks that I think you need to be playing Wall over Oracle. Oracle is a super cool card though. I really like it, and I'm with you that I wish that was the card we were on, Yeah, I don't think it would be unreasonable to main deck a Teferi, but I just want to convey where it fits into my sideboard plan. But I think a Teferi game one is fine too. I just think it shines more in sideboard games overall. I think we can let this resolve. You think Wall of Omens versus Blossoms is how many white versus green mana source you have? I've tried to wrap my brain around Omens versus Blossoms, and I think because you play 4 Skyclave Apparition and you want to have white mana early, Omens is better. And there is kind of like this tiebreaker in my mind. Yeah, let's force this. I have this tiebreaker that pro white is better than green because of Sword of Feast and Famine, but it's very narrow. Whichever one you choose, the margins are super thin. But I have sat and tried to figure out which one is better to play, and these are my conclusions. So I do think I want to play around Blood Moon. I think it's good to get that second Plains into play. I'm also 100% going to play a Witness while my opponent cannot crack their Relic.
She was so bad earlier, but she's good now.
Yeah, she is very good.
She says, "Mommy, I have 30 minutes of bad and 5 hours of good."
Thanks, Jules. I'm glad that she liked the runs. I think that they were really, really sweet. I was hoping that we could continue and have a good run this weekend, but I had to PT test. Wall of Omens does have sweet promo art. This may be the trophy run killer. This is what I lost to in the finals of the challenge.
Do you want any food, or are you finishing soon?
I'm probably gonna finish in the next hour or so. I'll just eat then.
Okay. I'm eating ravioli. Did they vote for this hat?
Uh-huh.
I need to, build on my channel points so I can make you wear the Santa hat. I don't think it'll happen though.
I'll believe it when I see it. Well, don't think that we're going to be able to interact with our opponent efficiently this turn. I'm just going to play Uro. I'm going to Ephemerate my Uro, and I'm going to clinch up and hope my opponent doesn't have a Titan. Don't really think we have any other line besides this. I guess we could have maybe Ephemerated our own Ice-Fang looking for a Remand, but I just don't think we're going to win this game if our opponent has a Titan, so let's just hope they don't have one. Well, that is a card that they cast that's not a Primeval Titan. It definitely is a wrench in our engine. Did they misspell your name? Maybe they put it down as Mohan Everett. The Titan deck had a Titan? How lucky. How could they be so lucky? Alright, let's bring in the Venser, the third path. I don't like Onthanice very much against them. Though I don't think it's... There's a conversation to be had for sure, but I have not been very impressed by it. I've been playing 3 Skyclave against them, I think. And 1 Force. Alright, we are on the play. I think this hand is a keep against Titan. Cryptic Command is your best card. Maybe. Feels very close. I'll play this tapped. Because I want to get Temple Garden with this. No, we can't get Temple Garden with that, can we? If we want to play turn 3 Skyclave. If we want to play turn 3 Skyclave, turn 4 Cryptic, we're going to need to get Hallowed Fountain. When am I going to get a Bant Triumph? When am I going to get a Bant Triumph? I will say that this curve is basically perfect. Or not perfect, but very good to be able to go turn 3 Skyclave, turn 4 Cryptic, turn 5 Teferi into Gust. What are this deck's worst matchups? This is one of them, and Mono Green Tron, I think, are the 2 decks I am most afraid of seeing. There are some fringe decks that Niv Mizzet that seem real bad. But for the most part, it's Reclaimer Titan is tough and Mono Green Tron is tough. Yeah, Dryad and Reclaimer are important hits for Skyclave, but Skyclave can be awkward to draw in multiples. And they just don't always have those cards, you know? I think this is the play. It feels a bit weird. It's fine. Win the PT or they print to ban Triumph and unban looting. You had to be until the unban looting part, which is something I am vehemently opposed to. I think I'm going to path the Reclaimer on their upkeep. I don't think I mind so much if they spend 2 mana to Reclaimer without a Flagstones in play. That just kind of time walks them. Sure thing, Emma. Sure thing, Emma. I do my best to shout out content creators that I like, and you're definitely one of them. And I am constantly getting asked budget questions, and I think you're like the best one in the game for those questions. Plus here, bounce the illusion token. And I think we play the second Fun Raveler in plus. Because that mana is just going to waste anyways. It's going to be a tough spot. Alright. I think Faithless Looting being banned was the start of my trajectory for being a full-time streamer. Just opened the format up so much. You beat Sharkblade with Apparitions? Cool, let me know how it goes. I played it kind of recently, but only like 2 leagues, and I didn't run very well. But I do think there's still potentially something there. Oh, what a sick draw. Okay, 2 lands and no Mystic Sanctuary left in the deck makes me a bit less excited, but Eternal Witness? Oh no way! Every card that comes out of my mouth, I just summon it into existence. So what I was going to do there, and it may not have been incredibly obvious, but I was going to get back the other Teferi Time Raveler and then bounce the Witness, and then in my instep, because I had this Teferi trigger going, I could instant speed Time Warp, but my opponent assumed that some of my 5 cards were spells. But that was just going to be 1 card deeper, something to look out for. And I'm going to resubmit. Is Field of the Dead too much value for my deck to deal with? So you're playing. You can beat Field of the Dead. If your opponent assembles too big a board, your game plan is to Cryptic lock them with Mystic Sanctuary, which is not an option in every game, but it becomes your game plan in those matchups. So try to do that. Yeah, with the Teferi untap. I don't know if that wasn't clear or not. So I'm going to Gust the Reclaimer in response to the trigger, so that way it gets shuffled away. This is a really good draw. Time Warp is one of the most important cards in this matchup. My phone's been ringing a lot today. I feel like the Happy Hob, whose phone is always... Well, he has alarms, but his phone is always buzzing. I've been watching a lot of Hob during my PT testing. And he finally got the Immortal Severance no-hit run last night. I was watching during that too. Okay, they have another Reclaimer, or Eldarmer's Call for Reclaimer. I think this turn we're supposed to Uro and Ephemerate Uro. Was there a way to do this where we could also cast this Ephemerate? Yes, there was. We'll just draw White Source. Easy. So they shouldn't be able to Titan us this turn, and the next turn we can flash an Ice-Fang in our upkeep, and if we draw a land, we also get the Time Warp. You witness Hobbs' first God run? That's awesome. I really wish I was there for it. I heard about him after the run. Oh, no. It's not the end of the world. In fact, if we just draw an Eternal Witness, we have infinite turns. Thanks, Chase. Thanks, Giglio. Yeah, I got this hoodie recently. They were having a sale. I've always wanted this one, and it's cold enough I get to wear it most days. We have 2 Ephemerates on Rebound. Ooh. If I draw an Aether Gust, I'll play Teferi before Time Warp, I think. Okay. No, so I mean we can Teferi plus Cryptic, but that's like not very good against the card Cavern of Souls. What a headache of a
What's up?
game.
It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
Haunter, 8 months in a row. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good day today, bud. Okay. So we can let them Titan. I guess if they get Bajuka Bog off Titan, it's a headache. Can we just bounce their Castle Garenbrig? I think we can. Yeah, this should keep them off of Titan this turn. Although they can Reclaimer for Bog, but we should just probably hope they do something else with their mana. If they have Bog, shouldn't we sandbag the Warp? I don't think that we have the luxury of doing so. In fact, now what we can do is we can just play Flooded Strand if they don't Bog now. Oh, they're going to Bog us now to play around Sanctuary. So good. So good. Jeez. Well. Yeah, I just don't think we had the luxury of playing around it there. We can find an Aether Gust that's the best card by a lot here. I'm going to cycle Remand on Titan. I guess I will. You know, Titan is not game over. You need to find a Cryptic. Only have 2 left in the deck. And I guess we can just, like, path the Titan, actually. Sorry. Head spinning. It's a draw. A path in response to the trigger, so if when they get Field of the Dead, they won't get an extra zombie. Bouncing the castle did not keep them off 6 mana for Titan. Yeah. It did. Because they needed another green source. I see. The confusion. I'm gonna hold the Flooded Strand for Sanctuary, but I'm not sure. Maybe I was supposed to Ephemerate there. Kind of tough. What a marathon of a game. I mean, maybe not marathon, but it's been a tough game. So if we cast a path, we get to escape Uro, and escaping Uro seems pretty key here. I don't really want to path the zombie, which only leaves one option. I don't think you can play Field of the Dead in this deck, although I admit it would be very good. How have we not found an Aether Gust? We have 4 in the deck, and we found 1 earlier. Okay, there it is. I should have had faith that every card I say gets spoken into existence. All right, it's a good turn. The Time Warp being gone from the deck is a bit concerning, and we're also getting our Hero of Dominaria hit for 2, so ultimating that is going to be harder. I think we are supposed to block like this, but we still have the Mystic Sanctuary in the deck, and we still have 2 Cryptics to just like tap their team over and over again. I'm just going to Skyclave that. I'm going to save the Gust for a Titan. Okay. That's a lot of zombies. The Reclaimer doesn't do too much until they get a... Oh, right. Forgot about the Ephemerate. I was probably not supposed to... I was probably supposed to leave it and Ice-Fang back. Where's my second Cryptic Command? So they have a Path to Exile, I think. Oh, they're just floating mana so they can clue. This is going to be tricky. I think I'm going to go bounce the Reclaimer now. See what we draw. Sanctuary, but nothing good to Sanctuary yet. I'm not sure if my opponent's going to block or not. I kind of don't think they're going to. They're just going to chump block. Alright, so our Teferi is going down. Fought hard for us. They've got 7 cards in their hand too. If we can find a Cryptic Command soon, we have a good chance, but we have 2 left in the deck. But without the Cryptic Command, we can't win. I'm going to remand this and hope we get to Force of Negation it later, but obviously kind of happy to get to remand that. They get 3 zombies. They're playing something. Alright, gonna force this. So many cards in their hand. Cryptic, please. 2 left in the deck. Don't think I want to Sanctuary anything. If they triple block, I'll just escape again. They're not even chumping. I think that's a pretty big mistake. Witness. So now if we can just find a Cryptic Command, we get to just attack for 10 next turn. And that we know they have the Turn Timber Symbiosis, which is a good remand target. Not that they're definitely going to play into the remand, but we can even remand our own spells looking for it. I think it was a huge mistake for them to take 6 there. What a tough game. But we have a really good chance of finding a Cryptic, I think. I hope. Don't think we need to do anything about that. I do not think Murderous Rider is modern playable, sadly. They have another path. I guess things get awkward now that Teferi died. I path their Reclaimer, remand my own path. They didn't cast anything into my remand, which is scary. Guess we don't need to cast this. Take a draw. 2 Cryptic Commands are in the deck. They're there somewhere, I promise. And I think we're supposed to attack and hope that they're on top. Or one of them is on top. Yes! Yeah! All right. Don't tell Esther I threw her hat. It's not definitely game over because they could have a path. Woo! Easy game. Alright, gonna keep this. Yeah, I don't know. Why do you Field of the Dead zombies enter untapped? It's so weird. I hope that this is not... I hope that this is regular Amulet, because Reclaimer Titan is just such a hard matchup. But we are playing for a trophy. Wait, did we play against this guy earlier? I think we did. And I think that they're just playing green-red Valakut, which I gotta say feels like a much better matchup to me. I think we need to remand a spell this turn if we want to play Teferi next turn without opening ourselves up to Titan. Yeah, I agree that field should probably be legendary, but like they just kind of have a policy against printing legendary lands, I think. I think I read something to that effect. Cool. And so now they can't tighten us even with a Castle Garenbrig. And is Uro better than Teferi here? I don't think so. Because like we can go Teferi plus into Venser, and then we get to bounce our Venser with Teferi, which I think can be really good. The card I most want to draw here is Ephemerate. Yeah, completely foiled out deck. This is the second time we've played against Titanfield today, and I will say that that kind of surprises me. Titanfield has not been a very common deck for a while. I think Teferi is about to bite the dust. We don't have a Skyclave to deal with the Dryad. We do have a Skyclave to deal with the Dryad. However, we're of course cold to a Titan or Escape Shift. So we could wait, but I think we're supposed to Skyclave and hope they don't have it. Well, retract. I can't speak perfect cards into existence. I can just see the future is really what it is. Given Titanfield's success in the Modern Qualifier, I mean, I think Titanfield is just like... Oh, sorry, Titanfield. I don't know. I think Reclaimer Titan is just the best Titan deck. And I think Reclaimer Titan is really, really good and something you... My opponent niced my Dryad and then cast a Titan. I think Reclaimer Titan is, you know, maybe one of the best decks in the format and probably should see more play than it does. I mean, that's the card that gives us outs, I think. They also have 5 mountains and 2 Valakuts in play. Maybe I was being overly optimistic when I said Path gives us outs. We do have 4 Aether Gust. You think we Venser the Mountain? Venser the Mountain doesn't do anything because they have Dryad. In this spot at least. And I think we're just dead. Maybe I'll draw Ancestral Recall in the Time Walk. Ephemerate maybe gives us a chance to live. Yeah, I mean, what we have to do is hope we just don't. We just have to hope we don't die and hope that we can draw Time Warp and take infinite turns. I don't find that to be a very likely scenario, but we'll just see what happens. Probably should path our own creature. Definitely not pathing any of theirs. We may get to untap again, and like we just do have outs of drawing Time Warp, so. I mean, we don't want to get back Path. Path just like deals us 6 damage if we ever cast it on them. Trying to like imagine a hand my opponent has that doesn't just kill us. Like 4 Dryads doesn't do anything. Oh, cool. That doesn't do anything. Well, that probably finds things that kills us. Oh, you can put a land into your hand with Vivian Reed. This is main deck Vivian Reed. It's awesome. You have to draw exactly Time Warp into Ephemerate. Yeah. I mean, yeah. They have a Valakut. That doesn't do anything. Oh, never. No, it does. It does. It does. Okay, so if we path Dryad. That doesn't do anything. Okay. Yeah, if we path Dryad, we take 9. Or we take 6, but we're dead if we do, so. Alright. Let's go to game 2. These are the cards I brought in last time. I like that plan. Whenever I cut the walls, I cut 1 Ephemerate. I probably want to play like 2 Skyclaves, maybe 0. I think we probably want to trim an Uro too. I think we did that last time. But it can be really awkward to just have 2 Uros in your hand when you need to hold up counter magic, and we're bringing in a lot. And Tails in counters Soccer Tribe, Elder, Search for Tomorrow, and Fetch Lands, which I think is enough. Also sometimes Primetime ETBs if you're desperate. Counters Vivian too. No, I think Force is good against them. Or like necessary to have. But they will have some amount of Veil of Summers and Guttural responses, and countering Scape Shift, Vivian Reed is good too. Or just a ramp spell sometimes. Teferi seems awkward. No, I think Teferi is good. Teferi stops Search for Tomorrow on the play, just like it deletes that from existence. And then also will stop any of their guttural responses or veils. I think maybe trimming 1 is fine. I'm gonna keep this. Maybe. I think this is fine. I do really like having Teferi on the play because it does stop Search for Tomorrow, although we have to draw a land. And I guess they also have to have Search for Tomorrow. It's not the end of the world if we miss a land drop, but it's way, way better if we find one. So I'm snap remanding anything. Cool. Easy. And I'll plus my Teferi, and I think we get Breeding Pool. That way we can cast Cryptic Command for sure. Although there's probably a good argument for just getting Basic Forest instead. And I'll plus my Fond Raveler. Now we're in okay shape. Teferi just being in play is solid in the late game. I've definitely seen some players like really value their relics super highly in matchups like this. And just never ever pop it. I even trimmed an Uro. Maybe I'll trim another one. Probably should have at least 2. Get to bounce the relic. Not great value, I guess. Okay. We don't have a land drop to play. But we do have a really permission-heavy hand. Where's this relic? Yeah. I think I am. Would I play this in the Super Qualifier? And what would I change in the sideboard? I would play this 75 in the Qualifier. I think like the Reclaimer Titan matchup is tough, but the Reclaimer Titan matchup is tough because like, you know, they just are the Titan variant that's really good against these blue decks. That's like their whole gimmick, even, I'd say. They do get to Field of the Dead here. And so it's just going to be tough to build the deck in a way that's favored against Reclaimer Titan. But I think you're fine against this Titan variant and Amulet Titan with the 4 Gust. Although I think we're going to lose this game. Reclaimer Titan deck sacrifices speed for resiliency and grindiness, you know. Counter that. I really want to get to counter something this turn. Okay. We can get a basic forest here and basically have perfect mana. Left in their hand. Venser is a really interesting draw. We did not draw a land to go with it. It's into the relic. It's going to pass. Only has one card in their hand. Although I imagine it's a good card if they didn't pop their relic. Long live Teferi. If they respond to Ewood's ETB effect, then you can ephemerate in response. Yes, but then we don't have any permission up on their turn, which doesn't feel like an option to me. It's about as much of an option as failure is. Very bounce a zombie here. Does not feel like my opponent has much gas. Then maybe we could just double ephemerate Venser. Although I kind of hesitant to fire these ephemerates off until my opponent props the relic. And if they don't pop relic, then they don't really have gas. They popped it. They should have done it in response to Teferi, I think, because they could have cast a spell, but whatever. Can't afford to play around Lightning Bolt at all. Does not feel like an option in the slightest to me. Playing Tracker means one of their two cards is a land. We have to hope that their other card isn't a threat. Threat. Obvious bait. I don't know, my opponent spent a lot of turns not doing anything. I mean, if we let the tracker resolve and let them get a clue, I don't think we're winning that game either.